I don't know if I can do that on my... Oh, yes, I
Yeah.
can.
We're live, aren't we? Hello, world. Hello, world. Welcome to Chuck Levin's Live, a very special edition of Chuck Levin's Live. I'm Adam Levin, Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center, and I'm here with the Korg team with a very special guest, MikelParis of O.A.R. For those of you that don't know, there he is. There's the man.
What's up? Good to see you.
Hey, Michael.
How you doing?
Michael is streaming from our new Chuck Levin's Live studio in one of our secret buildings here in the campus of Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. And we're gonna have a wonderful night. We are here to talk about the Korg Nautilus, Korg's new flagship workstation, the beast of the workstation world, and we are going to be giving away 2 passes to the Oceans Calling Festival this weekend in Ocean City, where MikelParis will be playing with O.A.R, family favorite of the store. Anyone that wants to enter to win, please email me directly, adam@chucklevins.com. We will be picking a winner by the end of the stream. And you got to be here to win. We need to have that winner here and excited and all juiced up and jacked up to see this thing as much as we are. But without further ado, I leave you in the very capable hands of Luciano and MikelParis, and we're going to get a tour around the Nautilus and all things MikelParis. Let's go.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. By the way, just again, my name is Luciano from Korg. Very excited to be here. MikelParis, we're going to have some fun. I don't want to talk too much yet because we're going to make some music first, and then we're going to talk about the awesome music you're going to make. I already heard Michael's sound check, and it's sounding amazing. So, Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you. See you in a few.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Luciano. So just to confirm, though, like none of us are eligible to win those tickets, right? I just want to make sure that before I start, I can't. Okay, all is well. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, guys. It's good to see you again. As some of you might know, I live streamed a lot over the past 2.5 years, and it's been a little bit of a while because I've been on summer tour with the band, and which was awesome. And we're super excited about this festival, and I want to play this first song, which kind of was, let me see how much I can squeeze out of the Nautilus, and it's still the tip of the iceberg as far as what the capabilities of this thing are. But this song is called Days Like These. I released this earlier this month, and it goes a little bit like this. Check it. I hope you like it. 1, 2. On days like these, we head back home. This thing takes hold. The world slows down. Our hope grows cold, and no one comes around on days like these. On days like these, we find ourselves in times of need. Madness on TV. Will we break free and find something new on days like these? Stay with me. Come on, stay with me. I want you to stay, oh stay, on days like. On days like these, this connection grows in times of need. Our passion shows. We hold our hands and raise them up high on days like these. Stay with me. Come on, stay with me. Just come on, stay with me. I want you to stay on days like. All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. How'd
That
that
was
sound,
killing.
you guys?
I'm giving you a round of applause from
Sounds
New
good.
Jersey. Round of applause coming in from Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey in the house. What up,
Jersey in the house. Michael Paris, that was killing. That was awesome.
Thanks,
so I
man.
got a lot of questions. I was thinking as you were playing because it sounded amazing. I got a couple different questions, so I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about what you did there.
Yeah, let's do it.
But first thing, the song is killing. I love that sus chord
Yeah,
sounds really nice.
Thanks, man.
First question.
yeah.
The EPs on Nautilus sound amazing, and I want to know which one you are currently using for this song and why you dig it.
Yeah, let's do it. So,
Yeah.
so if I go to mode, right, sequencer. So I'm working obviously in the sequencer on this, and that's the Riders on the Storm EP sound right there. Okay,
okay.
so you know.
Woo!
And that was actually, you know, I know the Nautilus is now the flagship, but back in the Kronos days, which was my first Korg keyboard, you know, when I discovered that Riders on the Storm EP, I'm so glad it transferred to the Nautilus, and it was just very inspiring. I find that with so many sounds in the Nautilus. You know, we talked about this, Luciano, how you get that new keyboard and you just put your headphones on and you spend all night just going through every single patch. And I just, yeah, when the patches are inspiring, you know, then the music comes from that, and it's I haven't hugged my Nautilus today, so I need.
Have you hugged your Nautilus today at home? If you haven't hugged your Nautilus, so Michael mentioned this sound, "Riders on the Storm." I have it pulled up here, and you guys can all see my screen as well. Now, just a quick little tidbit of information for you guys that don't know, but Nautilus does have these 9 sound engines, and the EPs are done only by this EP1 sound engine. So it's basically like a dedicated engine just to make these EP sounds, which is why you get all this customizability and stuff. So, question for you, Michael Paris, but since you've had your Kronos and Nautilus, how cool is this screen here where you can see the actual EP that you have called up and even the effects and plugins? I think that's the coolest thing. Yeah, there he's got it on his screen.
I know, and I got to wait. I got to get back to that sound. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the touch screen, and I'm a visual learner, you know, and so being able to see that is, I mean, it's like it's part now. I don't know why. Oh, because that's the other song I'm gonna play.
There you go. Yeah.
But I mean, that's the Japanese upright basic. But yeah, it's so cool how you can actually see what was sampled and everything.
So what's great about the Nautilus, guys, is that if you come into mode, there's one button that brings you into all the different modes. And I'm going to ask you about sequencer mode because you're using that for this performance, which is awesome. Yeah. But if you come into program mode, it's very easy for you guys to see everything, all your sounds. And there is a button in the top left which brings you into this nice sort, which is where he was able to find those EP sounds. And you can see just how many in the keyboard category. I can subsort by real EP, synth EP, clav sounds. And once I get into one, so the Riders on the Storm EP, I can click OK. And this is that page that we were just talking about. And everything is visual. I am also a visual guy. I don't usually want a menu dive, Michael Paris. I don't know about you, but if I'm performing, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't want a menu dive.
Yeah. I just want to be like seeing what I need to see. All right, cool. What EP am I using? I can click the photo of it, and I can choose if I want to use a Mark 1, Mark 5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question for you.
Yes.
When you use sequencer mode. So talk to me about how that is in your workflow, because I personally, just full transparency, I work for Korg and I don't use sequencer mode to perform at all. You know, I really work through my DAW. So I'm very curious to hear how you work that into your songs and your writing and your performing.
Yeah, but and see, I was the same way. You know, it was all computer based, you know, and just recording into that. But when I started my live stream back in March of 2020, after the O.A.R tour was canceled and the world shut down, what was the this thing takes hold? I mean, that whole first verse is about that moment of the pandemic hitting, you know, of days like these. On days like these, you know, it seemed kind of like it connected with that, and it forced me to start using the sequencer again, because I wanted to be able to just play guitar or play keys and keep it all in here. I wanted to keep it contained and reliable and not run tracks from the computer, because I'm streaming through the computer. I didn't want to tax the processor, so I wanted all of that being done in the keyboard. And I had to relearn how to use a sequencer pretty much, you know. But it's not like how it was when I was a kid, and you know, it was all step recording and all that stuff. But it was reminding me of when I was a kid, because that's how I started creating my first music, was in sequencer mode on the keyboard, you know. And I mean, I had a Korg, I had an M1, you know.
Wow.
That was like my first, like, really, I'm making songs in this thing. So it took a little bit of adjustment, but then once I integrated that into my workflow, then it just became, that's it. Here's my song idea, da da da. Okay, let me work on this, the new track. And with the Nautilus, it was a very small learning curve coming from the Kronos. It wasn't, which is great. It was pretty much, things are laid out a little differently, right?
Yeah, of course.
We lost a lot of the knobs and the sliders, which, as far as I'm concerned, like when I first saw the Nautilus, not to get off topic, but one of the things that I was super impressed by was how sleek it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's aptly named, you know, and I started sort of referring to it as Captain Nemo during my live stream towards the end there, which I'm sure I'm not the only one to have thought about that. But, and I love the buttons that you can adjust and then they go away, you know. Can you see that?
I cannot see to your left.
It's to the left. Maybe we can zoom out on that camera.
Yeah, there you go.
We are.
Yep.
Yeah. So these guys, you know, and this one, just to talk about the knob since we're here, the dynamics knob. Like,
oh yes.
That, for me, was also a game changer, because not to get out of like MikelParis stuff, but if I go to my set list and I go to Ocean's Calling, right? And these are the songs, a lot of the songs that we're doing in Ocean Calling, and there's this this one song where it's this music box, right? So without the dynamics knob, like, I want that to be all even. I don't want there to be any velocity changes, you know, on that. It needs to be straight up. So it's so awesome how easy it is. You just go, I can play it as light or as hard as I want. It's always the same.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway,
you know, I want to say, because that's a really good point, because that is actually was my favorite addition to the physical control panel, because personally, right? So this is my Nautilus 88. For those of you who don't know, it does come in 3 sizes. So you have, this is the 88 key full size with a weighted hammer action like a real piano. And then the 73 and the 61 key Nautilus have a light touch synth action. So the reason I'm saying that is, if you've ever brought a synth action to a gig and you're trying to play a piano patch, I personally feel like a fish out of water, because I typically play jazz stuff, so I want to dig in, and I'm getting all this high velocity stuff. So, for example, this Italian Grand feels really great when I'm playing it on the weighted keyboard, but if I'm playing a ballad on a gig and I have my synth action, I have that dynamic sound like you said, and I can scale back and really... I mean, that is like the most practical feature. And then the same conversely, if I'm taking a solo, I need to go...
Right.
And I need to cut. I mean, that is a very useful addition there. So I totally agree with you. I just want to say a little quick fun fact about Nautilus. People who came from Kronos, since you mentioned that, Mike, is the way you navigate. So for example, if you're in sequencer mode, the way to always see what you might not see on the screen is to go to the page button. So it's just accessed and tucked away with this one page button that has all the submenus that typically on the Kronos you saw on the bottom bar as all these different tabs. So now it just basically tucked away within the page button. So that's like the main workflow thing that you get used to. But every mode, for example, if I click mode and I go to global, which is where I have all my settings, same thing. The page button is now all of the submenus within the global mode. So you get used to it, and I totally agree with you. I dig it personally. Simple.
Yeah, simple. And this next song I want to do just like a simple song that really, if that's cool. Do you want to hear another one? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Keep it coming.
Okay. So this is a song off of a record that I released almost 10 years ago. We're going to celebrate the anniversary next year. I'm going to remaster it and release it. It's called Great Unknown. And this is all piano. And again, that deep dive in the headphones the first night when I got this, and I'm going through the piano sounds, and I come across, this Japanese upright basic. You close your eyes. Number one, the hammer action on both the Kronos and the Nautilus is probably my favorite of any keyboard I've played. But there's always been that slight disconnect, right, of really closing your eyes and having it also sound like you're sitting behind a real piano. There's just right and that lower register, that upright. I mean, there's nothing. I was on tour and one of the guys heard it and was like, couldn't believe that was coming from an electric keyboard. And there's the little detuning, in there also, just slight enough. Woo! So this song sort of highlights and gives props to the piano samples in the Nautilus. This is the Japanese upright basic piano. And the song is called Great Unknown. I want to play it for you. It goes something like this, something very similar. Check it, 1, 2. It's good to be back with my baby. That's the place I belong. It's good to be home. Am I not crazy for wanting to hit the road? Remember the time when we were hanging and I played you that song. It's good to be here through all the hardship. We always soldiered along. Couldn't you fly? Sometimes you fall. Try to keep on into the great unknown. Couldn't you run? Sometimes you crawl. Try to keep on into the great unknown. It's good to be out on the highway. That's the place I am strong. Now it's good to dig in, create the good vibes. Keeps me up when I'm gone, fine when I'm down. I set my sight high. When I'm high, I look down. It'll be good to get there through all the hardship. We always soldiered along, and we would live to fight another day. Couldn't you fly, sugar? Sometimes you fall. Try to keep on into the great unknown. Couldn't you run, honey? Sometimes you crawl. Try to keep on into the great unknown. There comes a time you must let it go. When everything comes together in the end. Couldn't you fly? Couldn't you fall? Sometimes you run, honey. Sometimes you crawl. Couldn't you fly, sugar? Sometimes you fall. Try Appreciate it. Thank you. End scene.
Wow. Beautiful.
Thanks, man.
I'll give it. Amazing. And let me tell you, your voice sounds unbelievable, by the way. I'm sure everybody out there is hearing how awesome it is, because I hear you really nice and close and intimate in my headphones, and your pitch is unbelievable, the whole
thanks,
sound.
man.
And let me tell you that for that song, exactly what you just said, you picked the just perfect sound. The way you were playing, it feels like that like cabaret vibe, like I'm just right in a cool, intimate, tiny club in New York City, and I'm just hearing you like really close with perfect sound choice, great song, amazing
Thanks,
voice.
man.
So
I appreciate it.
so
It's-
go ahead.
and again, like we were talking, the sound inspires you to play differently too.
Totally.
That sound inspires me to play that song differently because of how it sounds and how awesome. I just want to do the whole thing in the lower register almost. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
And just for anyone who doesn't know, like an upright piano versus a grand piano, because what Michael is saying is so spot on. It's mainly the bass area that you feel that real character of an upright. So you can hear up here, I'm more, in that normal same, if I go to my Italian grand, which is a big concert grand piano, but the bass is much different. So you can hear compare that to, we're going to go Japanese upright, and you can hear the difference there is significant. And I just want, since we're talking about pianos, Michael, we're going to do a little challenge now that we were talking about. We're going to talk about piano. Yeah.
Okay.
But one of the cool things about Nautilus is that it has the most piano sounds out of any Korg product we've ever made, including Kronos. So that's the little fun fact of information. You don't get any more than on the Nautilus. And the reason is we included a lot of the same piano samples that you heard on Kronos, revoiced for Nautilus, so the Italian grand, the German grand, the Japanese, but we also added these new unique piano samples as well, which we're going to just talk about in a second. But I just want to show you could all still see my screen, right? So what's cool about any piano sound Nautilus is if you see this picture of a piano, that means you can click in, and this is what we call the SGX2 sound engine. And all it does is just make piano sounds. And it's super fun because you could do things like raise and lower the lid, which actually affects the way the piano sample is. So it will be brighter, and if I lower the lid, it will be a more muted sound, just as if you were to do it like a real piano like I have here. And there's so many controls. For those of you who want to use Nautilus for piano sounds primarily, there's this component section in this page, and check it out. Damper noise, so the sound, all the mechanical parts of a piano that you hear, you can adjust that, all within this SGX2 page. So that's a little just set up for the SGX2, but I want to talk about these prepared sounds. So Michael, he's back on the screen now. So I'm in program mode, and I'm just in the category select here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go page over to where we start to see these like around A55 in that area.
Yeah.
Where we're going to see these prepared piano sounds. So now these prepared sounds are basically, we did these unique sampling sessions. So for example, we put rubber in between the piano strings. We put paper on top of the piano and sampled these sounds and then made them into some cool patches. So one of my favorites is A057. That's the paper prepared piano. So I'm curious if you have that called up, what you think of that. But let's hear what you get out of it. So there, he's got it called up.
I do. Oh man, I mean, just like all you have to do is hit one sound. All you have to do is hit one sound. I mean, it's like.
That's killing. All right, let's see. By the way, Michael, somebody said dueling pianos. So I guess we're supposed to.
That was Schwam. I saw Schwam. Yeah,
we're supposed to do dueling pianos, I guess.
what's up, Schwam?
But
Good to see you.
all right, so that is a killing patch, and I love what you did with it because I think that this makes. I don't know about you, but it makes me feel cinematic. I feel I think to get the most out of that patch, you gotta like leave some space to enjoy the ambience. You get the percussive texture up front. So, question for you: you hear something like that. What does it inspire you? Do you feel like these kind of sounds could be used in the studio? What does it do for you? And then I'll tell you what it does for me. But
yeah, I mean, it opens up different avenues. I think I just scored 10 episodes of a podcast, and so it was a lot of effect sounds. And that's before I got to Nautilus. So I was deep in the Kronos for that, and I spent a lot of time in the sample library on the Kronos and for that project, and I was getting inspired. I used a lot of those sounds that I just discovered that were cinematic, that were emotive, and not like you said. It's like you don't need to play a lot on those. You can let them breathe, and for underscore, and for TV and film and things like that, having all that in here is just like, it's amazing. It almost makes you feel like I don't need any other sound source, And to be honest, like for the podcast, I didn't use any soft synths on my DAW. It was all Korg Kronos on that. And so for the next one, I feel like having those sounds in here. Being a piano player, as we are, we want to be able to take that piano sound and morph it and tweak it into something new and different. That's always been something I've been excited about, even with electric pianos, putting it through pedals. How can you make it sound like it's just yours? It's your own sound. And like getting back to the components, being able to customize these sounds so that that's my customization of that preset is exciting, Yeah. So that's sort of how I think those inspire me. And I don't even want to start going down any more of these sounds, but we can if we want, because I could spend a couple hours just on.
We could spend a couple hours, and I just want,
sounds.
Without going into all of them, because I know you have another song as well, so I want to hear that.
Yeah, I got time.
But I just want to say that you mentioned the customizability, right? So let's just talk about surface level, because again, we could spend hours in this keyboard.
Yeah.
But. So obviously this patch, you hear a lot of ambience in it. So what effects power do we have in Nautilus? And the answer is a lot. So up to 16 simultaneous effects, for those of you who do not know. That's the same as it was on Kronos. It's brought over to Nautilus with the same effects power, which means you have these things called insert effects, you have total effects, and master effects. So there's 3 different kinds of effects. But the 12 insert effects basically can be routed in whatever combination, interact in whatever way you want them to. So yeah, he's got I can't really see very clear, but that's the effects routing screen, right? Insert effects page you got called up there?
Yeah.
Yep, so I'll pull it up as well.
When I discovered that, I was like, are you kidding me? I was so excited about that.
Yeah, so he's got it on his screen, and I just pulled it up on mine as well. But what you can see there on Michael's screen is there are these 12 insert effects, and within these screens that you have here, the insert effects submenus, I can choose exactly what is in each of those 12 slots. And then there are these really cool routing pages where I can choose basically if I have this combination, which is on Korg products when you put multiple programs together. So I can have up to 16 different programs together. I can choose how I want to route them to different effects. So this becomes extremely, extremely customizable with infinite possibilities, because then within each of those insert effects slots, you can come in to the IFX 1 to 12 page, and I can go in and choose what effect is in each slot and all the parameters, depending on what effect I have called up, to be able to modify.
Yeah.
So there are hundreds of effects to choose from within, and you can put them together in any combination. So it's a world of stuff, right, Michael?
It's too much. It's almost too much. It's almost too much. I did want to just mention one other thing about when talking about these piano sounds, since we're on the piano sounds. One of the things that I read about before I got the Nautilus, and then when I got it and I started playing the keyboard, the fact that it's heavier weighted on the bottom and it's a gradient let's just talk about that a little, because like, talking about making it feel as true and as close as possible to an actual acoustic piano.
Yes.
That's one of the things where the lower strings on the piano, the notes, right, have the three strings, and then it goes up to 2, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, Nautilus's action, this RH3 on the 88, it's called real hammer because it is, like Michael said, it's a graded hammer action. So if you play a grand piano, the hammers are going to feel heavier, the action feels heavier towards the left, and it progressively gets lighter as you move into the upper register. And that has a big effect on the way, as a pianist, how you feel able to express yourself and get the dynamics you want out of the instrument. So we carefully voice the patches and the sounds that you get in Nautilus to match and complement the action on the instrument. So that's a great point. And I know since you're a pianist, you could appreciate that feel, you know?
Yeah. It's again, adding to that statement of it being the most realistic sounding keyboard I've ever played is, you know, for piano, that gradient weighting is like.
I got a question for you, actually, since we're talking about the weighted. Michael, do you have, when you perform live, do you play with all weighted hammer actions, or do you also play with synth actions as well, like light touch?
I have, this is my main to the left, then I have a semi-weighted.
Semi-weighted.
In front, and I'll do like organ patches and sometimes like Whirly and Road patches on that, in addition to doing Whirly and Road on the Nautilus. So I don't have just an unweighted, I guess, right? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, like a synth. We call them synth actions, the lightweight. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have one of those, but I've been thinking about adding a synth to my rig, one of the Korg synths, to have that for some of those moments where I want to get that, that unweighted feel. I think that would be a really cool addition to have that, and then I'd have one of every feel.
Right.
That would have everything covered, and that would be nice.
I usually, if I have to gig where I need to have different sounds, like a workstation type experience, I'll have my SV2 with the weighted action on the bottom, and then I'll put a Nautilus 61 on top, so I have the light touch for playing organ patches. So for those of you who might not know how to choose, it's basically what are you playing mostly. So if you're doing a lot of piano work, a lot of EPs, it's the weighted. The 88 is like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
If you're looking to shred a little bit, so like this R&B lead might. I love the sound, by the way. This is program D018. So that's like a nice, fun lead synth sound, and that one would kind of feels.
It's so good.
Yeah, see, look at that delay. It's like the delay's in there, but so that's gonna feel. You're really digging in. You're working on the weighted action. Yeah. So you might prefer to play that on a light touch synth action, but it's all preference. Like for example, Jordan Rudess, keyboard extraordinaire, he always plays on weighted hammer actions and he shreds on it. So I mean, whatever.
But I guess there's something to be said about like working out with like a weight on your bat, and then you take it off and it's like easy. It's like swinging a feather kind of thing. Yeah. Or like you practicing on the acoustic and then you go to electric and your fingers are flying, and so maybe you just always do it on a weighted and
right. You're just like
shredding your muscle strength. Yeah.
That's the equivalent lifting musical weights, right? You're just like.
Yeah. I gotta say hi to RJ. RJ, thanks for tuning in.
RJ's in the house.
Here's a question for you, Luciano. How easy is it for me to transfer my Nautilus combinations to my Kronos? So one of the things that I'm finding still a little bit, because the Nautilus is still so new, right? That they're still getting sort of added to like that backline list of things you can rent when you're doing a fly gig or something like that. So I want to have like a backup of all of my O.A.R combinations in the Nautilus, and right now they're all in the Kronos. Okay,
so I'm going to answer. This is a great question, and we get this a lot. And I know we have Eric from product support in the chat, so he's definitely gotten this question multiple times. So we're going to answer it live. Like you mentioned at the beginning, Nautilus is the progression from Kronos. So we view it as the next generation product. So the way we have been focusing on our compatibility is to support Kronos users who are bringing their patches from Kronos into the Nautilus. So how we do that, if you have a lot of Kronos sounds, because Nautilus does have new sounds that are exclusive to Nautilus. So the sounds that we just played, for example, the prepared pianos, those do not exist on Kronos. So the way we're doing this, if you have a Kronos and you have patches that you need to bring to Nautilus, we got you covered. We have a library that allows you to have your Nautilus with all the sounds. Going the other way around, you can do it. The only thing, Michael, is there's going to be a little bit of kind of cleaning up those combis to make sure that they're referencing the right sound. So because there's new sounds added in Nautilus, think of it as shifting things a little bit. When you add new sounds in each of the banks, the combinations might be referencing the wrong sound, but you can remedy it. It just takes a little bit of, kind of going in there, choosing the right programs and cleaning up, making sure they sound the way you want them to. So that's really the right answer. We looked more at the compatibility going from Kronos to Nautilus and not as much the other way around, but it is possible, totally.
That's a good answer. And I did actually successfully transfer, like Days Like These was originally a sequence in the Kronos.
Yeah.
From last year. And so before coming here, Eric and I talked about it and worked and successfully transferred all the sequence data from the Kronos to the Nautilus. And like you said, the only thing I had to do was go back into the individual tracks and just make sure I'm on the sound that I want to be. But all the MIDI data and everything transferred.
Exactly.
So I didn't have to replay all these songs all over again.
Right, totally. And just so you all know, the Korg, we have a common file structure that we've been using for a long time. And there are these different types of files that you save to a flash drive. So there's PCG that brings all of your combinations and programs and global settings. Then there's the sequencer data that's saved in another folder. So, we have it all described nicely in manuals. It's all like nice step by step laid out. But you can all save it to a drive and work with it pretty easily. So.
And just talking quickly, one more about Days Like These. That was a song that my friend Jerry DePizzo, who plays saxophone and guitar in O.A.R, was a guest on that song. And it was really important for me to take his tracks from the mix session and be able to import them into my sequence. So on Days Like These...
I was going to ask you this question because you're using audio there. You got audio stems loaded in, right?
So if my Days Like These sequence... audio.
Could we get an overhead on Michael so we can see his? I want to see the master at work. You know what I mean?
It's these sounds, right? So that's all the tracks that Jerry played. There's baritone sax there. There's tenor sax. There's an alto, and it was so easy. Just for those of you that. For me, because I'm using this, and I'm going to be using it in my live stream that's going to resume again in October, Music, Drink, Stories, be there. It was important for me to have Jerry part of this experience today virtually. And so it was so easy to just go from my mix session, audio out from my, what do I have? I have the Korg, the 1604 mixer. Is that what it is? Yeah.
The MW series.
I love, just not to get off topic with the keyboard, but that mixer is awesome, the hybrid mixer. And I was just able to go audio in and just track it right to audio tracks of the sequence 1 and 2. Now, there was a little shifting I had to figure out how to do to line it up exactly where it was supposed to be. And once I figured out how to do that, it just, again, was a game changer because now I can have anybody that guests on a song, I can bring them in to hear and feel their energy and have that sound. So it becomes a real combination of the amazing sounds in the Nautilus combined with my backing vocals as well, right? So I have backing vocals in that track. If I go somewhere around here, maybe. And so that's just stereo.
Come on, stay.
And those are the backing vocals you hear in the actual released recording. And the same thing with the saxophone. So being able to have those stems, as one would call it, from the mix tracks in the Nautilus and be able to perform with those is just... And it was one of those things where I know you could do it, and you just have to take focus, ask questions, research, figure out how to do it, and then once you... It was just, now I'm doing it for every song. I'm just importing backing vocals, and I have other songs that other people have guested on, trumpet and things like that, and guest vocals, and I can have it all in here when I perform it in my live stream. So I'm so excited about showing that.
So I think what we're going to do, Michael, is we're going to have you do a master class on the sequencer of Nautilus, because it seems like you probably have a better handling on it than most of us.
I mean, again, it just harkens back to my days as a kid, you know, and just that's all I had. It was like I couldn't do audio in the M1, you know, so
Yep.
I still had to have my multi-tracker, but I'll do a master. I'm not a master at sequencing yet, but I feel like give me another 3 months of the live stream with the Nautilus, and then maybe we can talk.
And I just want to say, for those of you just joining, the sequencer on Nautilus, it is 16 tracks of MIDI and 16 tracks of audio that you can have. And if you look at my overhead here, it's a very nice, simple approach. There's volume with panning information here, and then there's a status play and mute page, which we saw Michael using to go ahead and solo different tracks. And a couple of little quick tips that I like to give. If you're playing a sound on Nautilus, so for example, when I was just in program mode, if I said, I love this R&B lead, I want to record something with it, there is a cool little trick. If I go to sequencer mode, when I'm in sequencer, if you hit the drop down on the top right, there is a copy from combination command. So you can actually copy from combi or copy from program. So that basically is going to take everything that you had, all your, you know, the sound itself from the program and all the effects that go along with it, copy from program, and I can choose exactly what I want to bring in. Do I want to bring in all the effects? Which MIDI track do I want to put that sound in? So that's a really great thing. When inspiration strikes, you want to just go ahead and start recording with whatever patch you were using, drop down in sequencer mode, and you can copy from the last combination or program that you had open up. Yeah. And then, which Michael has probably had lots of time to dive into because he's been shifting things, but there's the sub-menus within sequencer mode with a more traditional track edit screen, which looks like a DAW, lots of functions, and you can go deep and deep and deep. So
one thing I want to share that I also finally figured out, because one of the things that it's very easy to do on your DAW, to do like volume changes on a track. You know, you want this sound to be a little louder in the verse and a little quieter here, and then feature it a little bit, you know, in this section in the bridge, and then it needs to come down and get ducked again. And I was like, all right, there's got to be a really easy way to do that in the sequencer, and it's so easy. Like I just again, it's like you go to the edit, right? I think it's where is it? Yeah, recording setup. This is an important thing to remember. Once you record your track, you go into overdub.
Yep.
Right. So that when you hit record, you're not going to erase stuff. You go into overdub. I go back to the mixer. And then I just play the track, hit record, play the track, and I can just do volume changes on the fly. I want this to go down a little bit in the verse, and I want it back up to where it was. And it just records that volume information. And so
totally.
it all of a sudden makes it as easy as it was in the DAW for me, once I figured out that, that's all I have to do is just make sure it's in overdub mode.
And then if you export that, if you take that standard MIDI file and say you then wanted to bring that as a MIDI file into your DAW, that's going to be written as MIDI data, control change information. So you'll have it in the MIDI file, and then you can work with it more or do whatever you want. So that's a great point, overdubbing there. And then when your song's done, and you say, you know what, I want it, let's say it's done in the Nautilus, and you want a WAV file, you can export it. You can go to the sampling tab, and then from the drop-down, there is an export. You can bounce all tracks to disk, and it will bounce all of the tracks to whatever destination you want, the internal drive or if there's a flash drive. So that'll give you a WAV file up to 48K actually. So it's a really high res bounce. And I mean, again, one package all in there. We can go on for hours, Michael, but I know you have another song. So do you want to hit it with? Yeah.
But so bounce all tracks to disk, right? That's going to be a stereo. It's not bouncing each individual track, right? As separate.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So it's going to bounce, that will bounce the sum. You should be able to mute and solo things if you wanted to go through and bounce individually and mute certain tracks and then get your stems out that way. That would be an option as well. I haven't done that yet, but I presume that would work. So
I have one more question though before we move on to the debut of my new song, Never Grow Old, which I'm excited to share with you all. It released this morning. Yeah. So something that I want to do and I like to do is sometimes I just have a kick drum running. You know, and I'll play guitar along to it, right? But I want to start and stop it at whenever I want it. My question is there a way that once I start it, I'm using a foot pedal, by the way.
Okay.
So I have a foot pedal plugged in to what do I have? Assignable switch.
Yes.
And so, right, you can go, just correct me if I'm wrong, you go to global, right?
Yep, let's keep the zoom in on the screen so we can see his.
And then you go to controllers. So foot switch assign, song, start, stop, right?
Exactly.
So it's going to start and stop. Is there a way that once I stop it, is there a way that when I hit it again, it'll start from the beginning each time? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. You know, I haven't tried that, and I don't want to give you an answer. I have not had that request yet, so I can look into it, Michael, and we can post it in the comments if anyone who watched this stream after the fact. If Eric has an answer for that, I'm not 100% sure of that. But that's a great question, by the way. So you would basically want it to just restart.
Right. So right now it's like a that's all it is. I think it's a three measures of kick, right? So I want to be able to just kind of stop it whenever I want, right? And I have a MIDI track loop on, right? So I'm looping track 1, start measure 1, end measure 4.
Right.
So when I stop it, I want to be able to start again. Right. Like if I just do like a break and then I want to start right again on the downbeat of the first measure of that MIDI track loop. Is there a way to do that?
I got you. So you see, this is a perfect example, everybody, how everyone's needs are so specific. So an area of a workstation that Michael, might need in his day-to-day workflow and his performance is totally different than another user. So Michael, I'm going to get back to you on that.
Oh, no answer.
I'm going to get back to you on that, and I'm going to confirm with
Okay.
it without giving you a wrong answer. Michael was in this. You stumped me there. There you go. He got me. He said, I got the Korg guy.
Well, you still have one more patch to throw at me if you want to, like.
I do, and
you were
I'm
gonna
excited.
Throw 2 patches at me.
All right, I'm going to throw 2. Just so I show you where Michael was, and then we had a question there that I'm going to address. But he was in the global mode, and when you go to global mode and you click the page button, you can go to the controller section, and then there's a foot switch assigned. So there's plenty of different parameters you can assign it to, as well as CC. So, if you have MIDI devices, external MIDI devices, it will all be controllable there. But we have a question. Is it possible to have scene, button, and combinations on same setlist screen? So the answer to that is no. When you're in setlist mode, there are a couple of options of what you can see, okay? The only thing you can see in setlist mode is basically how many slots you want. You can have lyrics displayed. So for example, if I go here, you can see I have text above each of the different setlist slots, which will change for each slot, which is great if you have chord changes you want to write in, lyrics, for example. And within this page, I can then go and edit my setlist further, changing colors, font size, etc. But as far as what you can see in the setlist mode, it's meant to be clean. It's meant to just give you this information here as far as the patches you have called up, color coding them, and any different text you have inside. And Michael, I have a quick little tip for you. If you haven't used it, because I noticed I didn't see any color in your set list, and I'm a colorful guy,
I know.
So that's such a cool thing. If you go into set list mode and you click the page button, you can then click edit, and you can go to any box you want. You can change the color of the box from all these cool colors that you have available. And one of the coolest things, everyone, about Korg setlist mode that is so useful is you can adjust the levels within patches in setlist mode only. Yeah. So it's not changing the patch itself. So if you're using a program or combination, that remains the same as wherever it is. It's just leveling your patches within the set list. So you don't get any volume jumps. You're going from song to song. One's going to be loud, one's going to be soft. So that's a great useful feature as well. And you can even transpose within different patches in the set list too, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, I use that leveler all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Real world usage.
Yep.
So do you want to play your last song, or do you want me to throw the patch at you?
Why don't you throw the patch at me?
All right, I'm going to throw the patch at you. So let's go full out orchestral here, because when I heard this patch, I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. And it's going to be a combination. It is movie scenes. So it's combination A120. Now, I'm going to warn you, Michael, when you start it, the arpeggiator and drum tracks are going to be armed. So you're going to hear some crazy crashes and stuff that's going to happen.
Orchestral, you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you're going to go to combination mode, and you're going to go to, it's in
movie scenes, yeah.
Yeah, A120.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is gonna be big sound.
Okay. Let's see where we are in this then. So I have no idea what this sounds like.
Yeah, this is gonna That was killing. All right, so now, Mike, that was killing. That was epic.
Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's almost too much. But then I love all the different, depending on where you're playing, how hard.
Wow.
Yeah, how hard you're playing it.
So
I know.
Your arpeggiator is still on, so you could turn off the arpeggiator and drum track with the physical buttons on the panel right there.
Yes.
So here's the cool thing. I wanted to throw that patch at you. So you can go ahead and press the ARP button right there. But they said feeling that. I'm feeling that. All right, cool. So I want to just say something, Michael. That's why I chose this patch to throw at you. Because this takes advantage, how we make this patch happen, is using the dual polyphonic arpeggiators and drum track with a Nautilus. So I want to show you a cool trick. If you hold the shift button and press drum, so shift and drum, look what happens on my screen here. I have these scenes. There's 4 scenes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And within each of these scenes exists arpeggiator patterns. You can have 2 arpeggiators, A and B, a drum track, or a step sequencer within each of these scenes. So this is crazy powerful because it's all one combination. And I have all this variety. So I wanted to choose this one because check this out. You just heard scene 1, so all those crazy textures, that's actually being triggered by an arpeggiator,
Right.
controlling a program called Cinema Effects. But watch what happens if I go to scene 3.
Oh no.
This is gonna be it's gonna add in a drum track, so some rhythm. Watch. Scene 4. Now I can shut off my arpeggiators. So you can hear that.
Wow.
That is so powerful, and that's
Wow.
being triggered by the dual polyphonic arpeggiator. So I like that patch, Michael. You know why? Because it shows that people are like, oh yeah, like arpeggiators. You can get like really cool bass lines, or the typical things that arpeggiators do.
Yeah.
But you can use an arpeggiator to control whatever you want, even things that take long amounts of time to loop, and you get these different textures coming in and out. So you killed that patch, by the way. So
Dude, that's
I've thrown that
crazy.
patch at a bunch of people, and
Thank you. That's like, all that just goes way over my head. I think in some ways, like that, really understanding what's happening with that. It's just amazing how complex it can be.
it's so complex, but at the same time, that's why I think this whole scene thing, Michael, is cool to me, because if you're just trying to experience the keyboard, you don't have to program the scenes. I mean, you could just, every program is going to have some sort of scenes, and you can come into the arpeggio and drum track tab and just mess around with them and see what's happening,
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
yeah, it's really, really cool. And I've seen people on who do wedding bands and stuff, they program these scenes to then switch off different parts of the combination. I mean, it can get as complicated as you want and stay as simple as you want also. So
Right.
I rest my case.
That's amazing. That's an amazing, yeah. I'm going to have to dive deep into that some night and just like lose my brain.
Yeah, we're gonna just link up now, Michael. So we're gonna just have a geek out session on the Nautilus.
Let's do it. I'll come to your studio next time.
Perfect. Welcome. We got space,
Okay.
So
Nice.
So I want to turn it back over to you. I know you got one more song to play, right? For your newest, something new.
Yeah, so I wanted to release a song today. So it was this hyper focus for 3 days, do all my overdubbing, get it to the mix engineer, get it to mastering. I've been mastering all my stuff at Abbey Roads. They during the pandemic, I think, is when they started to, no one's going to come in and, we need to do this, be able to do this remotely. And it's just been sounding amazing. So I wanted to test myself and see if I could get a finished song ready for today. And it went live at midnight tonight. So it actually worked, and it's on all your streaming services. Never Grow Old. And this is one of the last songs I wrote during my live stream before Summer Tour. And I had this segment called the Snidbit Workshop. So MikelParis Snidbits is going to be the name of the album coming out in January. So these songs, Days Like These is going to be on it, and then this song is going to be on it, in addition to another 8 or 9 songs.
Awesome.
And I was workshopping these songs in front of my live streaming audience. So I would dive into my phone. Oh, that was a cool idea. And then I would play it for people. And then just sort of improv, which was a really good exercise for me to not feel like everything I do in front of people has to be perfect, right? It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It can be near perfect, and it was sort of like, let me just be vulnerable with my writing process and do it in front of people and be free with lyrics and just improv and explore, how you'll just sit and you'll just start exploring progressions and where's this going to go? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And having those failure moments in front of a live audience too is a real character building experience. And so I grew a lot as a writer and a performer, and I think this song kind of embodies, I guess, my overall philosophy about life, as far as internally, keep that fire always burning, and keep it young and fresh. And so the song is called Never Grow Old. And I'm going to do it for you right now. So I'm going to go to Setlist, Never Grow Old. And just because you commented that I don't have any color, let's see. I'm going to make it into some sort of I don't know. Let's do like a Ron Burgundy kind of vibe.
There you go.
Never Grow Old. Now we have.
I feel better. I feel better already.
Because it's like, are you like one of those people that you look on the phone and you see all those red things, like 1,000 unread messages, and you have to get rid of all the red on your home screen?
Actually, I'm not. So I was going to show you. I have 170. Wait, can you guys see put my screen back up? This is really bad. I have 171 voicemail missed calls. So I'm not, but I am organized when it comes to my Nautilus. So there you go.
Well, I have what do I have? I have 104,732 unread emails.
There we go.
I don't care about the red.
We're musicians. It's good. We can do it.
And don't forget, thank you for putting up the QR codes. I appreciate that, Emery, and thank you for getting this happening today. I want to thank all of the people here at Chuck Levin's and Korg, and it's been great hanging out with you, Luciano. I think we should do this some more, man. And I'm really thankful for this opportunity. Really
same here. It has been a real pleasure, and to hear you play, and everyone, I'm sure, scan those barcodes. If you're watching this after the stream is done, it's going to be up there for you to watch. So you can still share the stream on YouTube or Facebook, share it with your friends, and they will still be able to access these barcodes. And when I have an answer for Michael's question, I will post it in the comments section as well of both the YouTube and Facebook streams as well. But it's been a pleasure. Thanks from Korg. And thank you to Eric as well, who's been in the chat. Eric is our head product support at Korg USA. He's unbelievable. I can't thank him enough for everything he does and answering amazing questions. And Michael, I know he helped get your stuff over from Kronos as well. And
man, he sent me the longest email, so specific with screenshots for all the things. We've had phone conversations. So yeah, Eric's great.
He's the
Do
best.
we want to talk about the Oceans Calling Festival and the giveaway at all before we say kind of goodbye? Like
There he is.
You teed it up perfectly.
Wow.
It's like you've done this before, know?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Guys, that was awesome. I've been rocking out behind the scenes, learned a ton too. I feel like I can go up to a Nautilus and try and make sounds, but this has been awesome. I very much appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. I saw a lot of our favorites, a lot of our friends and family from around the country, some new folks. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate all of you. And without further ado, we should give away these tickets to the Oceans Calling Festival this coming weekend, where MikelParis will be playing with O.A.R, along with some other fantastic, amazing bands. Lay it out there. Mike, give it to me.
There's so many. I don't even know where to start. I mean, Dave and Tim and Alanis and Cyndi Lauper and Alan Stone, Johnny Swim. Who else am I? Just so many incredible. There's going to be O.A.R. Friends and Family, where we're going to have all these special guests come up. And
Wow.
It's going to be 3 days of just complete awesomeness in Ocean City, man. I'm so excited.
In the hometown. Love it. Love it. Close to home. So we appreciate it. We appreciate you being here. Thank you, Korg. Thank you, Michael. This is amazing. Let's give it away.
Let's do it.
I got to tee up a banner. I wasn't even ready for this.
Sorry. Put you on
Ooh.
the spot.
Background music.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Wait, is that, what is it?
I feel like I had to wait till it's over now.
All right.
The winner is Kevin Raftery. Thank you so much. I will be emailing you after the stream. We'll get you all dialed in. We had a couple other people that also submitted, so I'm going to be picking a couple of you here and there. We're going to send you some free swag also afterwards, just for being here and being a part of it. We appreciate you. But without further ado, I'm going to toss this back to Michael. Michael, send us home.
It's been great,
Let's
everyone.
do this thing. Let's rock out.
Let's rock
Thanks
out.
a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Gonna take another season for a fire that never grows old. Gonna take another reason to make a fire that never grows cold. Gonna take another power to keep the fire from never growing cold. Deep within another tower, where there's a fire that never grows cold. Every day it's like a new day, from the time before storm. Even through the darkest hour, there's a fire that never grows old. Make a fire that never grows cold. Make a fire that never grows old. Fire that never grows cold. Make a fire. I won't look back again. My stars and everything make me whole. Full speed on track again. Late bloomer, guess I am dreamer. Into the great unknown, my mind, the safest home, goes with me. Full speed on track again. Late bloomer, guess I am dreamer. I'm a fire that never grows old. Build a fire that never grows cold. Make a fire that never grows. Make a fire that never grows old. I'm a fire. Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.